funny motherfuckers here. We like to say what's up, guy. It's our way to say hi. In February, it is good to know a plow guy. It is shaped like a key, also where I like to ski. Tell by my belt buckle that I'm most definitely from.
Alright, so you ever have one of those days out metal detecting where you know you're just gonna roam around the woods and maybe find an old horseshoe or a bunch of old bullets, and then all of a sudden you stumble upon something you never thought was going to be in that section of woods or park or whatever? I had one of those moments today, but all in all it had to be maybe not my best hunt, because I didn't, well, close to one of my best hunts, one of my favorite hunts anyway, and it was only an hour. But let me show you what I've got cleaned up that's worth looking at. Join me, won't you?
And then I got one of these, and I recognize that. That's a bottle stopper off an old school bottle, so I'm thinking we have some human activity here, and I kept digging a little bit, and look at this. Complete and intact. I think that's what you call a blob top. I'm not a bottle guy. So first we'll start with this big old blob top. I forgot the stopper at the site, so I wasn't able to bring that home with me. But it says across the top, it says registered, and then it says right here, Coran and Joyce Company. So Joyce, Coran and Joyce Company, Lawrence, Mass. I'm going to assume it was soda or elixir or sarsaparilla or something like that. And there's more in here. I'll keep digging and show you what I get. So that was pretty cool. I saved this little tiny piece because it actually says New Hampshire on it. I don't know what else it says. Something there. If anybody can help me with that one. Wiki might know. He knows a lot about New Hampshire and New England history. Something Eckery, Troy, something New Hampshire, sorry. I don't know what that says, but thought that was cool. I got a couple of these little, this one's all cracked. A couple of these little Castoria. This one's got a hole in it, but it says Grand Union Company, and then ETA is inside the triangle. Grand Union T. Oh, cool! I didn't see that part. I got two of these. This one broke recently. I dropped it in the sink. Actually, someone dropped it in the sink for me. Castoria again, and it's the blue. It's the green glass, and it says the same thing. Chaz is what it actually is. Chaz H. Fletcher's. But apparently I was a bottle guy today. That's so crazy. And this is the best, well, the best of the Castoria bottles. Full and complete, intact, no cracks. And then this tiny one. I don't know what could have been in here. It's not labeled with anything, except it's got a 3i right there. So far I found that blob top. I think I got a nice little pit here. Watch. This one's kind of cracked, but it says Grand Union Company. It's a little, looks like a medicine bottle. I got, but watch this. This is still frozen. Some of the leaves are all frozen together, kind of working in my advantage, coming up like a giant plate. And I flipped it over, and look at, we have got all kinds of stuff. Most of it's broken. I'm going to see if I can salvage anything out of here. This is old. Oh man. I've been looking for something old for a while. I'll be back. I found a bowl to a clay pipe. No shit. Excuse my French. No kidding. But look, I don't even know what country I'm in right now. Look it. You know what that is? That's a clay pipe. that is absolutely, most definitely, the bowl off a clay pipe. I've seen Liven dig enough of these things, and Dave out in Scotland, that I'm convinced, I know, that's a clay pipe. It's got an I right there. My camera's a piece of crap. That's an I, and that's a D. And you can even see where it was resting on something. I thought those were scorch marks from a flame or something, but that's where it was resting up against a tree root. Okay, so that was bizarre. I did find gold. Pretty sure that's gold. It can't be a bone. Bones don't have seams. I can't find... There might be markings on it. It's hard to keep you guys in frame while I do this. They said a lot of times they'd have their initials on there. So, these initials are I, D. So we can ID this piece. Anyway, but how cool is that? That's pretty neat. The original piece I took out, that's I think a pepper, some maybe foot powder again. It's got the 5 holes in it for sprinkling and the 1 larger hole for dumping. A bunch of pottery pieces, all the broken bones, broken glass. And speaking of bones, I got me a pile of bones by Jiminy. Look at that. I don't know enough about bones to say. I'm just hoping that because they're cut, you know, you can see tool marks. I'm just really hoping that this was an animal. That's some sort of hip bone or vertebrae maybe. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a boniologist, so I'm not sure. But they're all cut the same size-ish. That could be a ham bone, I suppose, huh? I hope. That almost looks jawbone-ish. I was keeping my eyes out for any teeth, but there was none. Pretty good sized hole I got. Unfortunately, I am out of metal detecting shape, and this is really killing my back. So I'm going to leave this trash pit for now. I got some pretty cool stuff out of it. We're going to take some of that home, and we'll get back to you on the next one. That's a heel plate off of a boot, off like a cowboy boot or something like that. This is one thing that I'm working on, and I'm starting to get some lettering to come out, so I'll have to get back to you as to what that says. Something that looks like Union, but I don't know. It's a tin. It's like a jar. I don't know what's in it. Probably just water, but we're going to try and crack it open. This here looks like a powder, like maybe foot powder. So this was giving me a cracking signal right at the surface. I don't even remember the numbers. Doesn't really matter much. Shaker, and it opens and closes still. This part still works. That's pretty cool. Don't have the rest of it, but that's what it looks like. This looks to me like the thumb lever for a coffee pot or a tea kettle. I kept digging in the hole. I took out one of these. I don't know what that is, but it's old and it's iron. That's why I was getting such a crazy signal. Maybe it goes with the percolator over here. Okay. Here's the percolator lid that they would have used to make coffee. Had the tin type kettle under it that you put over the fire, and it would percolate up through the top, and the coffee would splash through this little hollowed out dome. I saved it because it says percolator on it. And then we have, at first I thought it was a can of sardines, never opened, but it doesn't have one of those peel around rings. It actually has a hinge right there, or clicks shut somehow. So there's dust in there or something. We're going to try and crack it open. And then everybody who is an avid treasure hunter and has been doing their history, has heard of the pieces of 8. Well, you will never guess what I found. No, I didn't find pieces of 8. I found 8 pieces of plates. So, I'm sorry. Actually, there's only 7 of them here. Really cool ceramic or china. Trying to see if there's a date and keep you in frame. But I think that's real gold. That looks like gold plating to me, or gold leaf, gold paint maybe. Let me work on these two what's it's here, or what's in it, and see if we can't get something going. Thank you all for paying attention to everything that I dug here, because I think this is one of my most amazing hunts so far. I'll definitely be going back to that site and see what else I can find there. And all the bones was kind of creepy, but on further investigation I realized, hold on, the only thing that scares me, and I don't know for sure but what they're from, but I know this is bone. I mean, it's very light and very vertebrae-ish looking, so I'm hoping that's not human. Here's another piece. You can see how porous it is. That's the marrow, but I haven't got a big enough sample to say. So to wrap up this long story and make it even longer, excuse me, I would just like to thank you all for sticking through this entire video. I know it's probably pretty long by now, but this is why I do this hobby. This is why I love this hobby. The history and the story that you can make. I've always said that history is a two-part word. It's his story, okay? And whoever was at this campfire making tea in the percolator, eating the beef bone, eating the meat off those beef bones on the china plates, drinking the sarsaparilla out of that blob top. So they were doing that. They were smoking the tobacco from the tobacco tin out of that clay pipe when it popped and the bowl fell off, and they just gave up on the whole deal and just kept warm by the fire and then covered it all up. All because somebody off of that stagecoach, okay, left a bag behind, never to be seen or heard from again. The stagecoach took off. They didn't even realize that they missed a bag. Maybe that's where they picked up the stagecoach. Maybe that was a drop-off and pick-up point, and they left their bag behind and never realized it. And then the hobos came through at the time. Maybe the old, maybe it sat there for a while out in the woods. I don't know. And somebody got into it, found all this stuff, had a great night. That's why I love this hobby. The stories you can imagine in your head of how it took place the day this happened. I just dug up one day, one moment in history, just a few hours long, and produced this huge story. I mean, I like to think of it in my head, and I could write it down on paper and create a 3-chapter story in a novel of just this dig right there, okay? It took me half an hour to find the place, the dig site, and a half an hour to dig up what I have. There's so much more there to find, and I'll be back. Well, to me, I'm a metal detectorist, but I changed my channel name to New Hampshire Treasure Hunter because I want to do more than just find metal objects. We don't have machines that can find glass or pottery, so we have to go by the metal. Thanks again. Appreciate you watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. Hopefully I'll be out Sunday and we can do a little bit more swing, beat, dig. Thank you very much. And right there at the tip of my finger, you can see what looks like what would have been a small air bubble. Just further confirming, and maybe, is that one there? No, that air bubble right there could have been the one imperfection in this pipe bowl that caused it to break. When you get an air bubble in pottery and you try to bake it in a kiln, that air bubble gets too hot inside of it, and the gases that build up in that air bubble just from regular air expand, and the evaporating liquids inside the clay as it's drying out create steam, and that expands to the point where it literally explodes in the kiln. I did a lot of pottery work when I was in high school in pottery class, and we learned all that. And that little spot right there, I believe to be the air bubble imperfection in this clay pipe that caused it to pop. See that crack going right up there? Okay, it all started with that. Once the tobacco got hot enough in that down in this area here, pop, cracked the bowl fell to the ground while they were smoking it, and they left it there. Probably got pissed off and chucked the rest of it further into the woods, and I'll never find it. So they were sitting around the campfire. This is a tea tin, there's a tobacco tin, and there's china plates, and we saw the beef bones. So they were sitting around this campfire eating beef cooked on a fire off of these tea plates that they may have scavenged off of somebody who left their bag behind, and the hobos got into it and set themselves up a campfire, found the tobacco in the pipe and smoked it, broke the bowl, put out the fire, gave up on everything, and left it all there for me to find 100 and some odd years later. That's pretty wild. That's history, folks. This is why I do this. I love this hobby. That's so cool. So whoever ID was, I'd like to thank you for making the imperfection in that bowl for me to find. I have never seen, and I've never watched every single video, but I've watched thousands of metal detecting videos and treasure hunting videos and bottle digs and privy digs and that kind of stuff. I've never seen anybody in America dig a clay pipe bowl. I am so proud of that. I am going to keep that forever.